Heritage cities are not just about preserving buildings. They embody culture, memory, and identity. From streets to stories, place-based narrative approach for urban design in heritage cities explores how local stories and community voices can guide more inclusive and meaningful urban design. Let's begin with the basics. What is urban design? It refers to the way cities take form and how we plan and shape the physical environment to support human activities. At its core, urban relates to the character of towns and cities, and design involves activities like planning, arranging, sketching, and patterning. Urban design helps us to explore how we shape our cities today. It provides a framework for understanding the form and function of urban environments and the meaning behind. Site analysis is a systematic study of the physical, social, cultural, environmental, and historical characteristics of a site, helping designers to understand the context before proposing any design interventions. In urban design, site analysis is essential to grounds design in reality, reveals human and cultural layers, supports issues or problem identification of the studied site, informs design strategies such as the opportunities and constraints for development, and lastly, encourages contextual sensitivity that responds to the character and sense of place. Using only conventional site analysis, this will lead to a soulless and placeless design proposals. Issues with conventional site analysis for heritage towns and cities includes surface level observation, which focuses mainly on physical and spatial data, such as land use, circulation and movement, architectural styles, and many more. It is conducted top-down, leading to design proposals that lacks cultural sensitivity. The third issue is disregarding local narratives that ignores lived experiences, oral histories, and place meanings that are essential in heritage-rich areas. As people engage with space over time, the connection to it deepens through emotional experiences. When people invest meaning and becomes attached to it some way, it becomes a place. Place is a complex concept that embodies a set of tangible and intangible qualities, an emotional connection between people and places. These emotional connections are often expressed and conveyed through personal stories, memories, and experiences, what we call place narratives. Place-based narrative approach, PBNA, is an educational innovation that fosters meaningful student engagement. By guiding students to investigate memory, identity, and everyday practices in urban spaces, the method nurtures their awareness of the social, emotional, and historical dimensions of architecture. Students learn to value intangible heritage and sense of place through fieldworks, mapping, storytelling, and participatory engagement with local communities. The need for students to develop cultural sensitivity, ethical design reasoning, and empathetic engagement builds as long-term competencies in observation, storytelling, place-based research, and spatial justice awareness. The studio also aligns with global education goals for transformative learning and character education, fostering values of inclusivity, humility, and critical inquiry. By guiding students to gather, listen to, and reflect on local stories, this approach nurtures what we call narrative-driven design thinking. It means students don't just involve spatial problems, they reimagine places through the lens of lived experiences. As these stories begin to shape their design concepts, the work becomes more ethical, more sensitive, and more grounded in the realities of the people who inhabit that space. What they create is no longer just functional, it becomes meaningful. It reflects the character of the place and celebrates its identity. The result? is a master plan that not only solves spatial challenges, but also strengthens the sense of place. A plan that respects identity, honors memory, and reflects the real, lived experience of the community. For the purpose of this lecture, Ipoh is selected as a case study. This city offers a compact, walkable urban fabric layered with old and new transitions. It holds rich heritage values from colonial-era architecture to local traditions. How does it work? We use 5-step methods. Step 1, background research and resource identification. Step 2, sidewalk and immersion. Step 3, gathering stories. Step 4, narrative mapping. And lastly, Step 5, personal reflection. This process leads to a narrative-driven design thinking, grounded in real people, real places, and real stories. Step 1, the first step sets the foundation. Before entering the field, students begin with a deep dive into the heritage town's historical, cultural, and urban context. This step helps them shape their perspective, spot knowledge gaps, and start connecting the built environment with its layered narratives. We use 2 key tools. First, desk-based investigation. Students review materials such as old maps and town plans, zoning and conservation documents, archival photos, heritage reports, and academic texts. Second, building initial conceptual links between place and story. This involves identifying emerging patterns, themes, and connections between the environment and narratives. Third, identifying local stakeholders. Students create a stakeholder map to find people with deep, often informal knowledge, like community leaders, local historians, artisans, traders, planners, and NGOs. Step 2, sidewalk and immersion. Now that students understand the background, it's time to experience the site directly. The goal of this step is full immersion. Using all senses to engage with the heritage city, it shifts students from passive observers to active learners. Here, we use 2 key tools. First is the sensory mapping. Students walk through the site and note what they see, hear, smell, feel, and sometimes even taste. Why is this important? These sensory cues shape how people feel and interact with a place. They reveal the emotional and atmospheric layers of the site, things that cannot be seen on a map. Second is walkabout with a local architect. A local architect guides students through the site, sharing insights on the architecture, cultural layers, and urban fabric. Students are encouraged to ask questions, sketch, and reflect as they walk. Why is this important? This expert input helps students understand what's not immediately visible, like why certain spaces evolved the way they did or how informal use tells its own story. Gathering stories. In this step, students move from observing the site to listening deeply to its people. The goal is to uncover lived experiences, memories, and local knowledge. Intangible stories that shape the soul of a place, yet are often missed in typical site analysis. We focus on 2 main methods. First, interviews with local people. Students carry out structured or semi-structured interviews with a diverse group, shopkeepers, youths, artists, or residents. They ask open-ended questions to understand daily routines, values, and changes over time. Why this matters? It teaches students to listen actively and reflect critically, gaining empathy and more layered understanding of how different people experience the same place in different ways. Second, oral history sharing. Students invite long-term residents, elders, or community figures to share personal stories. These sessions are recorded or documented through sketches and notes, with consent, of course. Oral history is important because the memories reveal emotional connections, stories of rituals, celebrations, hardships, and everyday life that brings meaning to spaces. After collecting stories and observations, students now begin to connect them to space. The purpose of this step is to translate those stories into spatial narratives to show how memory, identity, and culture are embedded in the physical fabric of the town. We use two main tools here. First, the field diary. This is a personal journal kept during site visits. Students use it to document key moments, what was said, where it happened, and why it matters. They sketch scenes, note feelings, or record details. This diary encourages slow, reflective thinking and becomes a bridge between raw field data and thoughtful design. Second, narrative mapping. This is where students begin spatial storytelling. They overlay stories onto site maps, connecting places with people's memories and emotions. Why is this important? Because it reveals a deeper layer of the site, not just what it looks like, but what it means to the people who live there. And the outcome is a rich, layered narrative map that captures the cultural and emotional identity of the place and forms the foundation for design responses that are rooted in real, lived experiences. Step 5. Personal reflection on the city's sense of place. We've walked the streets, we've listened to stories, we've mapped memories. Now comes the most important part, making it personal. Step 5 is all about reflection. It's about taking everything you've seen, heard, and felt. This is where students begin to truly understand the soul of a city, not just its buildings or streets, but its rhythms, rituals, and relationships. To express this, we use one powerful tool, the place narrative video. Each student creates a short 3 to 5 minute video, part documentary and part diary. It weaves together photos and clips from their site visits, snippets of interviews and oral histories, their own voice, reflections, questions and emotions, and the sound of the place, footsteps, street chatter, the call to prayers, and even silence. There are no strict rules, just one goal: to tell the story of the city as you have experienced it. Once the findings are gathered, the next step is to manage and synthesize the data. This is where the negotiation begins. Students collaborate in groups, combining conventional site analysis with insights from the place narrative-based approach. Through critique sessions with local stakeholders, academics, and industry experts, their proposals are tested and refined. The final outcomes include a comprehensive urban design framework, a master plan, and each student's individual design, grounded in real stories and shaped by community context. So to conclude, what makes the PBNA powerful is its flexibility. It can be used across different levels of design education and adapted through various urban contexts. It doesn't require expensive tools or complex software, just basic mapping, field works, and a willingness to listen and observe. It fits naturally into architecture and urban design studios and can even be expanded into workshops or interdisciplinary courses. And with platforms like Padlet, Google Maps, it also works well in hybrid or online learning environments. But more than that, this approach offers a real shift from conventional site analysis to something deeper and more human. At the heart of it is narrative inquiry, where students learn to build design ideas from stories, rituals, and everyday experiences of the people who live in these spaces. In the end, what students produce are not just polished designs, but thoughtful, ethical responses to place. Rooted in care, shaped by empathy, and grounded in real, local stories. That's the kind of learning that stays with them, and the kind of design thinking that truly makes a difference.
Will